A quarter of an hour to go to the start. I think we only get a 5 second...
5 minutes.
Five minute
5 seconds, a little quick,
so
but yeah.
we should just introduce you quickly around the boaters who's on here. Dale behind the camera from Mackay Media. Stewie and I are going to do commentary. And we've got Matt as our driver, and we've got the got Challenge up the front there, checking that all this live stream's working. Not the ideal conditions for live stream, but we'll see how we go. We've got a few people watching, so hopefully if the noise levels and things are all a little rough, we've got all the dead cats on and all the stuff we can have, so we're just going to make the most of it we can. The most beautiful morning. Actually not that cold, Stu.
Beautiful.
And what do you reckon the breeze is up to now?
So yeah, we're seeing the wind, I think, oscillate between sort of the 18 and possibly up over that 20 knots, possibly getting up to 22, 23 knots. The sea state's certainly here. The swell that they were sort of saying would build is definitely building.
And we had an interesting time getting across the bar there.
We did, weaving our way out. Well done to from that perspective.
Nice work.
But yeah.
Okay, so we're going to hand off to Stewie for camera work now. It's going to be a little tricky getting super close to the boat, so we're going to stick near the start line till about 5 minutes before the start, and we'll sort of get as many boats as we can going past. Needless to say, there's a chopper doing video and stills. That's not live, and there's a drone that's not live. That'll all get put into a compilation video, which should be out tomorrow sometime. So if you don't get the full detail here, rest assured you will see all the vision in full from tomorrow. Righty-ho, so a fleet at the moment of 20, I think, tempo was going to be going, and unfortunately can't sort of sort that out, so they're heading north later for the northern regattas, and the rest of them from Wildling 100, which we've just seen whizzing past us a little earlier. And right the way through to the little Maritimo catwincher, who's going two-handed. So where have we got to now with the start boat, Matt? Where's the start boat from us here? Sorry, getting confused. Okay, so this is in the background. You may be able to see the surfers in the background here, and the start boat's roughly in line with that sort of middle of the three buildings you can probably see in your view there. A little red sculpture, you won't be able to see that bit. Stu, just what do you reckon we're going to be getting here by way of what are they setting? What are they going to be setting? Do you reckon the faster end?
Yeah, so I think what we're looking at the moment is a lot of boats being very protective at the start here. They've all got tending to look at full mains. Those full mains are representing, they're obviously looking for the power off the start line.
You can see. Coming towards us here, that's Wildling 100.
Yep. And you can see her with her storm jib up there. She's just setting, because they're obviously looking for bigger sails off the start line, some sort of asymmetrical sail.
Bit choppy when we zoom in, so we're just going to have to see how we go. So they've just got a little trysail in just at the moment, and they'll be setting a big asymmetric when they leave.
That will be an ASO, probably looking at a fro, which is a fractional zero, and that'll give them that power. I can't see them going the full zeros. It's just a little bit too breezy for those.
Maybe just sort of wait for these guys.
Looking around the rest of the fleet, we're also seeing them all sitting there with just mains up at the moment, obviously ready and prepared for bigger sail sets as they approach the start.
We're going to see if we can get a little closer to Wildling 100 while she does. It's going to be a little bit wet here. We'll see how we go. So she's just pottering along. Spoke to Warrow yesterday, 2 days ago. Can't remember. I'm losing track now yet. The skipper's party, and he was talking about the new sails they've got on. So they're pretty much geared up fully now. They haven't got their jib sticks for this race. They'll have those for Hobart, one imagines. So he's feeling much more confident about the sail configuration. The Hobart, they were really, I think, a little underpowered, unfortunately. There you go, nice bit of pink pop on a Thursday morning for you as she sort of heads out the back here. And you can see the sort of nature of the swell. I'd say it's 2 metres?
Yeah.
And then a bit of wind chop on the top, Stewie, isn't it?
Yeah,
really?
Definitely. And it is short. There is a bit of shortness to it, just in the shallower water here. So
Okay,
that'll help her a lot.
What else have we got here? In the background, probably not easy to see, is the Crowther 40 Top Gun. Greg Alders recently bought her. Then we've got Antipodes off in the horizon. Your apologies, you'll appreciate the boats are all over the place at the moment until they get near the start line. So we're not going to be able to get too much close-up image until the last few minutes probably. We'll just have to see how we go. So Stu, a little bit more. We were talking earlier about the course itself and some of the challenges. Perhaps just do the first bit, the sort of area up to the end of Kagari and Breaksea Spit and so on. What are they going to be getting for the first sort of 12 hours, let's say?
Yeah, so this looks like it's moved. The weather pattern looks like it has moved forward a little bit quicker than they were expecting. So we do have the breeze up to the 20 odd knots now. With that in mind, they are sitting there expecting this to build to 30 through the afternoon, and that sea state to continue to build. Bigger boats like like Wild Thing, she'll probably look for more breeze offshore. Some of the smaller boats might be looking for a little bit of respite of the pressure and stay closer to the shore in that sense.
Yeah, and south going stream, which from the bomb they were saying is pretty strong, not that far offshore. There's a little buffer, isn't there, and possibly even counter-going current just on the shoreline there, which is probably whipped up by the southwesterlies we've been having.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Nice bit of heel on Wild Thing, so you can see how fast she's going to be going if she has a big throw up. Okay, so just to come to the left here, let's just talk about Sunfish. So maybe just pop in and see if we can do it without too much rough here. So Sunfish is a Sunfast 3300. They're getting really popular, super popular in Europe for shorthanding particularly, or solos. French, of course, love that sort of stuff. So this is an interesting little boat, Lee Condell's boat, I think, originally. And then last year for the Hobart in 2024, he chartered it to two Irishmen, Cian Murphy and Sam Hunt, and they took it south. They came over with their own bowsprit because they have a Sunfast 300 over in Ireland, own sails and own bowsprit, and did pretty well. I'm trying to remember, I think they got fourth in double-handed, if I remember rightly, Stewie, when we were talking about it last night. Yeah. Now, here's another little number coming up on our right-hand side here. This is Clockwork. And you might think it's Clockwork Orange because, of course, they've all got orange hats and there's orange stripes and all sorts of stuff. They're a great crew. We talked to them yesterday. So that's Andy and Marianne Harvey. Andy Lloyd and Marianne Harvey. They're doing some fantastic work supporting the Orange Sky Trust. Which is helps people with homeless people with things like washing machines, showers and the likes as well. So great work there, and they're doing a huge, I think they've done about 5,000 out of the 9,000 nautical miles they're going to be doing, and they come from Cruising Yacht Club of South Australia, so nice to have some South Australian with us here. If we pan around a little bit to the right, and Matt, maybe you just kick the wheel round right a little bit here, you'll see a couple of them testing upwind. Looks all right. So what would they, if they're prepping now, Stu, and getting ready for what's obviously going to be a downhill start, would they just be sort of holding up in number 3 just to give them a bit of drive into the start line?
Look, without a doubt, they'll be setting themselves up for the options.
Yep.
A lot of these guys have been talking at the start about being protective of the boat, of the asset, as they say. So they'll just be setting themselves up. They'll probably come off the line a little bit cautiously. And then make the decision whether they want to go to bigger sails at that particular point. Yeah. This sea state, again, is really probably disorientating, and they're just testing all of those options at the moment.
So, and Stephen Murphy, the head of racing, who's the race officer for the start here, said yesterday, downwind start in a building sea, or at least in a large sea swell. He said, don't come anywhere near me, because obviously he doesn't want to be pinging anyone for getting early, and you can lose a lot when you've got to get back. From a start line, as we all know, and seconds can make the difference, of course, in any race like this. So I think we might sort of motor slowly, Matt, up towards the start boat, because we'll probably get them coming along that line, and hopefully we just get a few more close-ups. Could be a little damp as we go, guys, so we'll see how we go. We'll try and keep that lens clean. You can sort of see the little rolling surf here.
So we're just going into a 5-minute.
And
I think that could be our...
Sorry, what was that?
I think we've just heard a countdown.
I've had a countdown, yes. Okay, yeah, so we're sort of coming down to the... So there's only a 5-minute warning, am I right? And then they will go away?
Yeah, they were indicating a 5-minute warning, as was the only warning. Matt, can I just ask what time? What's the time?
55.
Yep, so that is our 5-minute warning.
Yep.
So okay. 5 minutes to the start. I'm going to...
And
just go behind
start
you
to
guys.
see them. Yeah, do you want to come around this side? So we've got Antipodes, It's interesting trying to get ourselves in line here. We've got Antipodes, Blue Hull, you may be able to see with a white headsail up at the moment, Jeff Hill's Santa Cruz 72. Big boat, all those Santa Cruzes were it was the era of the 70s and so on, of the late 60s and 70s, of the era of the ULDBs, the ultralight displacement boats. So she comes out of that mould, she's big of course. That's the 5, yeah?
Yep.
Oh, it's a 4, right, okay, we're getting a 5, a 4. Do we get a 1 off as well, Matt? Yeah, 5, 4, 1 off, so that's the 4. So if you want to just poke up a little bit more, just see if we can get a few of them as they're coming into the line. There's the chopper in the background, so they'll be shooting video and stills. And I would say maybe at this point, Matt, we might just turn a little bit off and just let ourselves drift down there. It looks like they're favouring the pin end, not the boat end. Typical. Anyway, we'll soon see them. Another just under 4 minutes now. And what have we got here?
Just need to go over.
Yep. Sorry. Okay, so Stu's going to do a twist. It's a little rib here we've got. So there's our start boat, you can see, with the blue Peter up. And Stephen Murphy on board there is calling this start. Quite a lot of organisation, because here we go, you can see the boats getting ready now in the background, they're cracked sheets, and they'll be popping kites in probably about 3 minutes time now. Off in the distance somewhat, but anyway, nice skyline to have in the background for this. Who are we seeing shaping up? Where's Wild Thing now at the moment?
She's in here,
She's tucked in here, so you can probably just about see, that pink sail coming up there. Sorry, it's a bit jittery once we actually zoom in, but at least you get the gist of it. That looks like clockwork beginning to bear away, and in the background, Ian Edwards' wings, the Daler 46, probably one of the most travelled Daler 46s. I think he's done something like 40,000 nautical miles, done the Transpac, done all of the races here, and has a very full schedule. How he gets crew for all of that, I don't know. Okay, behind us, Stu, we might come round here. So we've got, is this Denali?
It is.
TP52 with a reef in. Oh, sorry, this is Wedgetail, is it?
Sorry, no, Denali. It is Denali.
It is Denali, yep. So she's got probably a number 3 there and a reef in, so she's obviously going to take this easy, but she'll doubtless be putting up a pretty big, pretty good throw or an A sail there. So they're going down the line. What was that? Did we get a gun just then, or was that my imaginings?
No.
Okay, so I think we might just keep scooting across, because they look like they're going to lay off a bit over here. We'll try and get a little bit closer. Judging downwind starts, always difficult, especially in a bit of a seaway and tide coming the other way. So the tide was high at 6 this morning, and then obviously it's been heading south, so that's what's kicking it up. So
Warro's got his throw up.
You can see Cat Wincher has just got a mainsail up at the moment. So Maritima Cat Wincher, she's the only double-hander in this race, and they've taken the mizzen off the boat so that they can actually sail it two-handed. You can see she's got a spinnaker pole up. Okay, we've got 1 minute to go, and we're cruising round now towards where the boats are getting ready to start. Who else have we got?
So we're going to see
looks like
these.
Black Diamond. That's Glenn Burrell in the middle there. That's his RP42. And who else have we got? Antipodes coming through, and I think that's possibly Wedgetail in the background. Okay, so now we've got Wild Thing 100 has put up her big A sail. Is that? Would you say that's asymmetric?
It is a race sail.
And she's just unfurling, top down unfurl. She'll probably keep that little staysail, the pink staysail in, will she, Stu,
yep,
for
she
control?
Will. Yes, she will.
Yep, they're all doing nicely here, so we're in a good spot. They're about to bear away on us. So, here we go. Here comes the gun. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And there's the gun, and we're away for the inaugural GCCM Gold Coast Mackay yacht race. Restart? What's the restart?
Clear start.
Oh, clear start. Oh, there's a restart. Okay, so the orange kite here that you can see, this is Black Diamond. Glenn Burrell is the Commodore of the Southport Yacht Club. In fact, newly minted Commodore on Monday. And like all good things, in order to celebrate that promotion, he's heading out to sea. Why wouldn't you? In the background, you can start to see now Wild Thing really getting a bit of a wriggle on. we've got what they call a race within a race here. So there are 4 people who are on these boats who are going to do a Hobart number and jump off. So we're sort of in the thick of it here, which is great. They're struggling a bit with Black Diamond's kite. Got Sunfast immediately to her left. That wedgetail in the 18 is difficult to tell from here. So that sunfish looks like the double-handers are having a bit of a problem with a wine glass on their headsail, on their spinnaker. And then we've got Mayfair really cracking on here nicely in front of us, Stu. I don't know whether you can see that and creep around the back of me. Ripping along there nicely. She's set, she's all clear, she's nobody in the way. I'm not sure what Denali's doing, that doesn't look too good over in the background there. And then perhaps turn around again now because we've got Sunfast whipping down here. So you can see these are a lot of fun. So many of you will know Kai Hurst, the Ironman. He's on board that. Done a lot of other sailing work. Yep, that's great. So if you just keep going at that speed, that's perfect, Matt. So Kai Hurst, talked to him this morning. He's getting back into a bit of this sort of sailing. He loves it. How are we doing there? So Mayfair behind us. Yeah, this is great. Good stuff. And then Wedgetail at the back. So just pan back a little bit. So that's David Rose's Wedgetail in the red kite there, just on over here. Yep. And that boat's had quite a long history. Many of you may remember Jeff Ross in the days of Yendes in Sydney. Hobart, was he a Hobart winner? I can't remember anyway.
Yes.
That's that boat. It's a well one. British design originally, I think modified in the years since. But you can see why these little sunfish, the Sunfast 330s are so much fun. Small and really agile. You get a bit of breeze up on these things and they absolutely rip. Okay, Clockwork doing quite well. And in the background, the blue kite there is Arctic Blonde. That's Peter Cook. Beautiful Hick design. Timbered X, lovely, really nice on a race yacht. We've got Ocean Crusaders Jaybird in the background, and trying to think who that is off in the distance there. Oh, Trouble and Strife. Yep. So you can see that. Where have we got to now? Yeah. So just behind Antipodes on the right here is you can't quite see her. Will be probably come out in a moment. Is the Wild Thing 100. Just maybe go a little left here for these guys. This is lovely, Stu. Just right beside them. That's pretty cool. Hutchie's Yeah Baby. So the again another TP. We've got two TPs in this that are first generation TPs. Denali, interestingly. Now here's a bit of serendipity for you. Look at that, fantastic. Denali, incidentally, was one of the early TPs. She was owned by a very famous British yachtsman called Tony Langley in 2005 or something. I think he owned her. And by interesting coincidence, Tony Langley, who's had various TPs over the years, won the World Championships in New York just last week with his Gladiator, which was really quite a coup. So Wedgetail here in the red doing really nicely. They're sort of holding fairly high. You can see Wild Thing. So Stu in the background, Wild Thing there. What's going on for those guys now?
Yeah, so she's just carrying a zero. Okay. It's just it's not a fully soft sail.
Okay.
But she obviously can hold a little bit more height. She probably doesn't carry a soft luff sail.
Just come slightly right here, Matt, so we get this line up here. This is lovely in front of you here, Stu, sorry.
So the sail she's carrying at the moment is the new sail that they've just recently acquired. So they'll be loving this opportunity to get the boat up and going.
Yeah. Yep.
She's probably doing up around 18s at the moment herself.
Okay.
Maybe building towards that as she starts to get the boat fully tuned into these conditions.
Yep. Okay. And just between her, there's a little bit of focus gone. Tiny little dot between the orange and the white sail there. That's Greg Alder's Top Gun, very high performing multi-hull. I think she won the multi-hulls in the Brisbane Gladstone this year, if I remember rightly.
Correct. Yes. In just over 23 hours.
Who else have we got off in the distance towards the skyline there? So there's Jaybirds.
There's Wings over there, I think. Is that Wings all the way over?
Well. And I'm just trying to work out. Oh, and Dagay 2. So Dagay 2, you probably can't really easily see her, but behind that green and white kite, there's a beautiful Milius 50 Italian builders. They build these really beautiful custom yachts mostly for really high-end cruising, but actually for good racing. So it's an all-carbon boat, and they can sort of mode it differently. So she came up on the Sydney Gold Coast race. And they spoke to Rob Aldis this morning and said, what's your ambition for the race? And he said, to enjoy myself. That's what it's all about. You can see this swell rolling through here from behind us. You know, we've got, we might now just wait a little back here now and just see if we can get these guys. So maybe just square into Arctic Blonde. I'm not sure when they're doing the jump. Arctic Blonde has got Andrew Chapman on board, I think I'm right in saying, CEO of the GCCM. Sorry? Oh, the mayor, sorry, I beg your pardon. Yes, we've got the mayor on Peter Cook's. Yep, that's right.
Oh, no,
Andrew Chapman's on Wild Thing 100. Thanks, Matt. So you can see they're sort of, you know, they're needing to keep an eye on this. They're rounding up there. Whoa, big roundup. Yeah, just gusts coming through here, Stu. It'd be well over 18, wouldn't they?
It is, absolutely. And the sea state again is pushing these boats around quite a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and it's got a small chop on the top of it, so it can kick the back around a little bit as well.
Yeah.
Wings in the background, just taking it nice and steady. You know, the guys who've got spinnaker poles, you can see them how much squarer they're all going to the left of us here. And yeah, Arctic Blonde, really beautiful boat. You can see the bowman going forward there. Is he probably just trying to organise the furler maybe?
Just keeping that sheet out of the water, not wanting to go under the bow.
Yes, yep, fair enough. So that's, yeah, so the mayor of Mackay is on this boat, and he was very funny the other day when we talked to him. His skipper's name is Peter Cook, and he said, Captain Cook is going to make me walk the gangplank. So this is good, nice stuff. Thank you, Matt. Great bit of driving there, and you can see one of the ribs I suspect is attending. I'm not sure at what point they all jump off, but it's going to be interesting going off the back of Wild Thing 100 for Andrew, because that thing will be scooting along, and then they get picked up, and it's a race within a race. I'm not quite sure what the competition is about the race in it, but anyway, they're all
friendly race.
So what else? I think we're sort of at the back of the fleet. Cat Wincher's still got trouble with her spinnaker way off in the stern here, but they're not going to be in a hurry. That's just bad luck. You know, two-handing on a boat like that. Very low freeboard, so she gets quite a bit of water across the deck there when it's rolling around downhill. I think they said the faster she goes, the lower she goes. So quite the opposite from most planing boats, that's for sure. That is a fantastic story on Maritimo Cat Wincher. If you're not aware of it, she was built by the brewer. Oh, good, they've got the kite going. They just need to get it to the top. She was built by a brewery, once famous in the day, Watney's Brewery in the 70s. Pretty ordinary beer, as I recall. She was built in 1904 by the keg makers. So the guys who are actually doing the kegs for the beer built her in the Watney Brewery. And she has a lovely story. Sailed for some years. And then in 1951, she was taken up by 3 young English guys who decided they were going to emigrate to Australia by sailing there. So they got a bit of a send-off. They came to Australia, and somebody said, hey, there's a Hobart race, don't you want to do that? 1951, and they said, yeah, why not? So the club gave them a sail number, because they didn't have one, CYC8, and it's remained that today. And they took the boats to Hobart and stayed in Australia. The boat had a long period where it just sort of disappeared into the scene, and Bill Barricotta, whose family had owned the boat at one stage, his father had owned it, was very keen to find it, and he found it in pretty sorry state, if you've ever seen the pictures of it, and got it completely revived, and it looks absolutely exquisite, really beautifully rebuilt. Okay, so Stu, what else is going on here? You're doing great camera work here.
We've the catamaran, the Top Gun has taken off up here. She does seem to be leading. She's moved in front of Wild Thing at this stage.
Yeah, okay.
The Wild Thing has obviously moving off on that offshore pathway. I guess there's a point where we're going to see some of these boats consider going back in, some of the smaller ones.
They jive back in at some point?
Yeah, to come back in and again take that more protected path. But yeah, at this stage, as I say, the bigger ones, the faster ones, there was a bit of chat around the docks this morning that their desired path was more offshore. They do have the pace and ability to get back over that current. So yeah, I think that's where we're seeing them in that pathway now.
Okay, so you can see Arctic Blonde scooting along very nicely under her A sail here. And just got the headsail rolled up on the forestay. It's quite a narrow design, hick design.
Yeah, and you'll see that she's got a furling headsail here.
Yep.
Obviously makes it up at the moment. So that obviously makes it much easier through these conditions to
It's a little bit on her mat, but let her go in front a little bit. So
very quickly go into a headsail mode if they need to. So
yeah, yep, absolutely.
They're well set up, looking very comfy there.
Yep. We able to just go in a little closer to it? Yep. How are you going there, Stu? The whole arms holding up all right?
Yeah, yeah.
So we're probably going to, we're not going to try and chase these guys down now, but we will wait for Cat Wincher, I think, and see if we can catch her. So we're just going to close on Arctic Blonde a bit so we can get away from the guys here without getting in their way. Oh, there we go, there's a wave, good. That looks like, is that the owner, Peter Cook, at the back there? Yep, just careful of a roundup. I'm not sure where the mare is, but tucked in, ready to go, I don't doubt. Yeah, it's fine, and just leave that go. So for those of you who know Hicks Designs from Victoria, the beautiful Hutzpah, and those other ones, and indeed the Night Rambler that won the Hobart in the 90s. Right, so is he getting all his dates wrong? I think what we'll do is let's just sort of cut across and see if we can get Cat Wincher, and I think that's Cyan Moon with a blue kite up there, so we'll just sort of cruise across quietly across here and we'll let the rest of the fleet go. Stu, do you want to just do a last farewell silhouette shot behind you here?
Sure.
Of the fleet disappearing off?
Yeah, that's why I just have a standby. Rory wants to get a couple pictures of the boat.
Yep, that's cool. And you can see, somebody's having another round up there. I think that's Ocean Crusader Jaybirds having a bit of a moment, but I'm sure most of them are going to have a few of those today with this sort of sea running. And there's Wings just trotting along, very controlled. I'm trying to recall, I have to get the notes out, but I think something in the region of 40,000 nautical miles over a period of only a few years. Let's just have a look and see if we can get this actually accurate for you. The Daily 46s are really good. They're really well set up for just club racing particularly. They're pretty comfortable down below. Ian Edwards has a coffee machine, that's his one concession, and apparently the food on that boat is very good indeed. So that they'll be going along nicely. I can't remember which of the skippers who said, I think it was the guys on Trouble and Strife actually, I think it was Matt Williams who said, we're the only yacht where you finish heavier than when you started. So they obviously like food as well, and there's a fair bit of fun factor in Trouble and Strife, judging from the Facebook page, which is great stuff. So we've got Cat Wincher and Cyan Moon, I think, are the two bringing up the rear here. A couple of them, the yachts heading off in there, out to sea now, are, got reefs in. We didn't get to see what happened to Denali. She was struggling a little bit at the beginning. Look at Cat Wincher go now, beautiful. So we'll try and get as close as we can to her, because she really is quite a sight. We had the good fortune of shooting her in the Hobart 2019 from the chopper there in the start, and she really looked a beautiful scene. Weirdly, not quite sure who designed it. It's put down as a Watney 1904, so the brewer must have designed the boat, I think. I'm not sure entirely. I'm sure there was something in there. He was obviously keen on the plans and knew what he wanted. You can see them rolling around a little bit here, going quite square. Cyan Moon, just take it nice and easy. Cyan Moon can surprise. They did pretty well in the race up here from Sydney Gold Coast. And when we saw them at the beginning, they were stuck inside South Head with absolutely zero wind. You thought they were going to be left behind, but they caught up pretty well. She's an Oceanus, she's a good sea boat. So we're going to swing around. I think we'll stay this side if we can of her, just so we get the sun on her. For Stewie.
Yep.
Stu, tell us a bit about what you're seeing here. They're running obviously with a pole, two-handing.
Yeah, well, these guys were very much on the idea of what we talk about, protecting the asset, making sure that the boat does survive the early period of the race, and obviously.
And we've got get Cyan Moon as she comes through, and then we can follow these guys down.
Obviously, square sails, meaning that they've.
Stu, just behind you here, nice little shot, Cyan Moon, rolling around. Perfect. And, all looks reasonably under control there. With Wayne Arnold Seaward's boat. We're talking to the navigator on Cyan Moon the other day, and he was saying that boat's come all the way from Victoria, so he's had to do the navigation planning for the trip up, then the navigation planning for the Sydney to Gold Coast, and now the navigation planning to Mackay. Do you reckon we can catch Cat Wincher? What do you reckon? That'd be good, worth it, because it's such a beautiful boat, lovely in silhouette as well. So what else? Stu, we were going to talk a little bit about a few other bits and pieces.
Yeah, we got.
One of the things we were going to talk about is whales, because you can't not talk about them now with a number of them. What's sort of going to be key for those guys thinking about this? Because obviously they converge, don't they?
Well, yeah, I think there's the feedback that I was receiving again around the club before the start was the concern of the whales aggregating at the top of Fraser Island going into Harvey Bay, which is obviously their primary path. That's what they're looking for. Yep. But very interestingly, one of the other considerations that was being raised was the idea of the fishing boats at night.
The sonar.
No, fishing boats themselves. I believe there's quite a bit of fishing activity going on up here at the moment. So that was raised as a consideration as far as the obstacles to be aware of as they're sailing. So this sea state won't be helpful for the whales because they won't see them as be as obvious. But
and a few of the boats now are getting sort of sonar. So
a sonar that sits at the front of the keel basically puts a sound through the water, a sonar sound wave through the water, and basically tells the whales that the yachts are on their way or coming. And the whales tend to get out of the way.
Okay, cool. The other thing we're going to talk a little bit about is how much these races are changing now with technology. So you'll probably see if we get a little closer to Cat Wincher here, that she's got what Dale calls the cheese platter, but which Stewie calls the bait board at the back of the boat. That's the Starlink. Many of you will know about that. That is the ultimate in communications now. So that's meaning that a lot of things that were just too sketchy to do when you were out of distance of land are now much more doable. So there are things that you can do now you're allowed to do now, like taking photographs, like skids, which are actually done as texts, and so on. So you're not having to spend a lot of time, proving that you are where you are. And indeed, this is going to be quite important for them. They've got when they get up towards, I think it is Prudhoe Islet, towards Mackay, the committee may choose to move the finish mark there because that's the shipping and so on. Can you get any closer there, Matt, without doing too much damage? That'd be great, thank you. So they all have to take a photograph of their chart plotter as they're around there to prove that they're ready and that there's time for the guys. They know if they have to move the mark. So we've got Michael Spies on the helm here and Peter Vikergus just standing in the companionway. And they're chuffing along very nicely now, having sorted out their kite issues. So these two are legendary NS-14 sailors. I think that's what they've had in common. Peter Vikergus has been champion God knows how many times. So, they like their dinghy sailing. Michael Speasy rolled up a few weeks ago to our club with his NS-14 when we were sailing our Aeros.
I think just rotating back to the technology, we see this Starlink and we see a lot more of the races now employing the idea of moving away from the VHF communication. And these guys are actually doing skids via text.
Going to go around this text.
So we'll see the race itself actually will employ a dual text.
Do you want to come around this side?
Excuse me, everybody. We're just going to change sides.
Whoops. You okay?
Yep.
All right.
Sorry.
Just doing a quick swap around the back here and get a bit of a silhouette of her. That's fine, and then just go forward on her a little bit.
Yeah. So we're seeing a lot more of the technology employing a satellite-based format.
Yep.
And we'll see these guys doing dual skids, 2 a day, one at 8 o'clock in the morning, one at 8 o'clock at night.
Okay.
But interestingly enough, they text the sked in.
Right. Okay.
So using that technology. So it's definitely a step away from what a lot of us have experienced in our historical VHF
pathways. It's a shame though, isn't it? Because I always used to think in the day, it was lovely listening to the skeds. Apart from the fact you knew where people were, it was a voice from someone off the boat in the day. And
well, I think one of the other things too now, these boats, because they've got the internet and it's a reliable internet, they're using the yellow brick tracker,
Yes, tracker, yeah.
which obviously anyone from home can actually use. They can log on and track the boats in their performance.
Yeah, actually, thank you for reminding me. We should talk about that. So if you go to the event website, which is goldcoastmackay.com, you'll find what they call a tracker there if you're not familiar with it. It basically allows you to see where each of the boats is progressing up the course. So they call them yellow brick trackers, which are little widgets they put on the back of each of the boat. They give them to them just before they start, and then they have to get them back afterwards. And that gives everybody an opportunity to see where they are up the race course. And you can get quite a lot of facts on their boat speed, on their heading, on what the wind speed's doing there. So it's a pretty good interactive tool, and it's been running on the Hobart now for quite a while. Yeah, it's good. What else were we going to sort of talk about as the boats disappear there, Stu? I mean, we've obviously got AIS now, which also helps us on that front as well.
Yeah, that's what drives the trackers. Yep. So that is a radio signal, but yeah, that underpins the tracking technology.
And sort of VHF is really gradually getting phased out, isn't it, in Australia for some of these races, I believe? Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think maybe the timeline for these guys. I think it seems like the race itself is likely to take Wild Thing. They're estimating sort of the 36-hour time frame at the moment. Something like Denali, the TP52, she's sort of estimating around the 40-hour, just a bit over 40 hours at the moment.
Might just close in again on Cat Wincher because we'll finishing shortly.
And I guess that puts a few of the boats into the 2.5 into the 3-day period. Cat Wincher will probably be getting out into that 3.5 day time frame. It is a 520-mile race.
And that low is sort of gradually working its way off. So I think Bon was saying this morning that it's going to go more around to the southeast, lighten a bit, maybe even a little bit of rain early in the week, next week. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So, these guys will be out here for a little bit of time, but hopefully as they get further north, there is 2 paths they can follow. Above Fraser Island, they can make a choice to go inside Lady Elliot. And that will be probably a path for some of the smaller boats. That represents a path that is likely to be a little bit less out of the current.
Okay.
And some of the larger boats are very happy to stay offshore because they've got the speed to cross the current with a little bit more ease.
Right. Cool. Very good. In all that fun and games, let's see who we haven't actually spoken about and say a word or two. So I don't think we said much about Amaya 2. So she's a FAR 11.6. Matt Kingsbury, we were having a chat with him yesterday. He's got Jim Nixon up from Sydney, who brings a couple of players with him as well. And Jim's very experienced, of course, in a lot of these races. Northern Beaches man who sailed with Shane Cairns on Quick Point of Zero for many years. So Shane's given the game away now, so he's always out for a sail. And and he's also, I think he's brought Adrian Harrington up from Tassie for this race. So he's obviously making sure he's got good crew on it. That's FAR 11.6. That's 1979. It's had quite a lot of changes. They were nice story actually. They were built. Amaya and those boats were built by Binks Yacht Constructions in Victoria, and I think they were the early pioneers of timber fiberglass 505s as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So Amaya did well in the Surf to City, got a IRC and PHS Div 2 win overall, and a pretty experienced crew. Who else? Jeff Hill, we've talked about. The Santa Cruz, designed by, what was he called? Bill the Wizard Lee, who set up Santa Cruz in the 60s and 70s. And Tivity's spent a fair whack of time racing in Asia, most of the sort of major Asian races until Jeff Hill acquired her. And she won the Sydney to Auckland 2023, I believe.
Correct, yes.
Yep.
Another inaugural race.
So she's built back in the 1970s. She's got Richard Hudson. Many of you will know him from Pretty Woman. Richard from the RPAYC, probably doing more just about than anybody else to bring on young folk through into serious ocean racing. So he always takes at least half a dozen young folk with some more experienced folk as well to Hobart with him. So he's had a long experience of sailing on that boat. Clockwork, we've talked a little bit about. They're going very well. They're obviously on their very long trip, their 9,000 nautical miles destination. Cyan Moon, we had a bit of a look at here. It's nice to see her up from Victoria. Dagay, we've talked a little bit about. So she's definitely going to win on Prix d'Elegance for the best looking boat. And Denali, originally, as I said, called Weapon of Choice from Tony Lungley when he owned her way back in the early 2000s. So she was built in 2008 originally as Matador, and she's been involved in
Just so we can get
all of the Palace Capital Gold Cup TP52 series. So that's a really great series where boats of very different vintages can race together on the TPR rating system. That's really good, and they've gone well in that. Damien Parks. So I think I'm right in saying that Damien Parks, whoa, a bit of a wipeout ahead of us there. I think I'm right in saying that Damien Parks also owned the Pocket Maxi freight train, which was the first time I did the race from Sydney to Gold Coast, Southport, as it was then called, Sydney Southport race back in the 90s. And it was a howler, if I remember rightly, that first night, trying to get sail off in a big southerly. Of course, because I was the youngest and B, much the least experienced, they gave me the bunk with a leak above it. That was the first time I heard the afterguard talk about something I didn't quite understand. When they got all the sail down, they said, let's go below for some black tea. And really? Found out that was a euphemism for rum and coke. Talked about Arctic Blonde. Interesting feature on Arctic Blonde, which I forgot to mention, is she's got a hydraulic main. So you may well see on a lot of these sort of really beautiful super yachts that come out of Navi and all of those people in Italy, the main is basically just one very strong cable which runs from the end of the main down to what they call a captive winch below deck. So there's no running sheets in the cockpit at all, and all that's all run by hydraulics. So that's pretty smart. Hopefully the mayor has enjoyed the jump off, because I'm imagining that's happened by now. Hutchie's Yeah Baby, we've talked about. We spoke to Jake Gundry, who's skippering that. Really sorry not to have seen Andy Lamont, who's the owner of the boat. Pretty amazing sailor who set out to do the round the world the wrong way, westabout, solo to break that record, and sadly had some gear failures and wasn't able to break the record, but finished that circumnavigation. It's pretty great. He's had to have some fairly major surgery, so unfortunately he's going to be watching. I think he's actually up on top of the Q Tower, if I remember rightly, when I spoke to him this morning, so he'll be getting a pretty good view of that. That boat was, I think that boat was originally Heaven Can Wait, the Sydney Middle Harbour boat. I'm not sure, it's well than 50, so much modified, I think, in the years since. Cat Venture we've talked all about, so that's all good. Mayfair, I think we've talked a little bit about James Irvine's boat, beautiful boat. That was originally owned by one of the Asia families, so they're sort of royalty in sailing in Britain. Had endless yeomans. I think it was yeoman, there's a whole load of X's and ones in front of it, so that was a... And then I think she was middle Lake Macquarie boat. She's called Shakti for a while, and James Irvine's owned her since 2020. And she was pretty fast. She was actually designed by Jeremy Rogers in the UK, famous yacht designer, to try and outsmart the early TP52s. And track record was pretty good, actually. In fact, on her delivery to Key West for the first regatta, I think she did 24.7 knots was her top speed. She'll love a beam reach, so she'll love it. That she's hull number 2 out of that one. Ocean Jaybird, we've had a bit of a chat about. So, and Ian Thompson. What Ian perhaps fails to mention, of course, that he actually owned the Round Australia record in 2010. He beat it by 26 days. So I think we're probably coming up to time to close out. We didn't mention I should give a quick note to the Olsen 40, designed by American George Olsen. A surfer, a train spotter, and so he was quite a guy. He went on and retired and built sets for Disney and others. Stuart McLeod and Sunfish we've talked about, that beautiful little boat, and sadly Tempo's not racing there. Top Gun now off in the horizon and going well. Trouble and Strife, we've talked a little bit. Wedgetail, we mentioned the old Wellburn 42, and Grant Warrington's Wild Thing with Wings. So I think we're probably going to call it a wrap here. The boats are all heading off into the distance. We're just still paralleling Cat Wincher. Any last words from you, Stu, about what they're looking for?
No, it's been a good start. The boats have gotten away quickly, so good luck to their finish. They should be very quickly up into Mackay and enjoying the bar.
Righty-ho. Might come up here and do a face-to-face. Dale, if you wouldn't mind just carrying the camera, and we'll just close out. Excuse us, challenge. We're just going to get a quick picture of...
Where do you want me?
No, you stay there, that's fine. I'll just sit here. So, I'm pleased to say at least we were able to keep track of the boats a little bit here. Thank you very much indeed, Stewie, for all your technical knowledge. So, for those of you who don't know Stu, apart from being an incredibly good driver for us, he's a regular sailor. He and I sailed years ago. I've long since given away the offshore stuff. You're still going on with Triton, the old
still enjoying
LC60.
it. Yeah, still enjoying it.
And beautiful boat that is too.
It is.
And so, and you've done all the Brindabella thing and all those things over the years. So great to have someone with some rather more current experience. I haven't even sailed in the era of the an asymmetric. I was still on poles.
Oh, look there. I think sailing's become a little bit easier, but a little bit more complex in the same time. But no, it's been great. So.
Very good. All right. Well, we'll say farewell. And we just thank you, Dale, and the one person you haven't seen behind all of this is Dale, who's absolutely brilliant. She's been shooting all of the vision that we've been doing, and she's also shooting a bit of video today, which you'll see tomorrow. So, last thing is just to remind you about the tracker. Go to goldcoastmackay.com, the event website. You'll see the tracker there, and you can track them all the days up the coast, and then see the results as well.
Absolutely.
And big thank you to the sponsors, particularly GCCM, who are obviously the naming rights of it, Mackay Regional Council, Mackay Marina, and Sail Sports Bar, I think I'm right in saying. Mackay Marina Village, I should get the title right. Okay, so good luck to all the competitors heading north. Looks like they're going to have a really rapid and full-on first day, but could be pretty pleasant from there, navigating amongst the islands, watching whales. It sounds pretty good, doesn't it?
Sounds pretty perfect.
All right, thank you very much indeed for the Bow Caddy team, and look forward